We have come to the last technical session on penalties and prosecution under Compliance Act 2013. I request CA Tupad, MC member of the branch, to escort our speaker, CS Sundharesan sir, to the dais and welcome him with a flower bouquet. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker, Sundharesan J Murthy, is a practicing company secretary from Bangalore. His firm specializes in corporate consulting and advisory with core focus on corporate compliance and corporate law. He specializes in ethics, compliance, and governance. He educates and trains boards, senior management, and advisors through role play on issues relating to governance, compliance, and risks. He addresses on various topics, including CSR, corporate governance, and corporate compliance. He is a principal faculty at the Institute of Directors since 2006, where he has trained more than 3,000 members and is rated a must hear. He has published a book titled Board Autonomy. With this brief introduction, I hand over the session to the speaker, Sundharesan sir. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. Good to be back in person. And today's session is a little different. It's on penalties and prosecutions. First of all, I thank Srinivas for having me here. Of course, 2 days back, I did one session in Baswangudi on CLC, something that you need to look out for. Why? There are a lot of clauses, again, they want to amend pertaining to chartered accountant. They want to enforce NFRA with additional powers. Along with it, of course, NFRA is asking also funds, okay? So they are trying to figure out how to fund that institution to prosecute you actually. So it's okay. So I don't know where the money is going to come from. So what I'm going to do today is very simple. There are going to be a lot of stories. Again, as usual, I love telling stories, whether it is for chartered accountants or for board of directors. You can note on some of these and then maybe you could do some detailed analysis later on. But very important, my dear friends, what we need to understand of late, you would have seen so many news coming out, right? That GST video which went viral where, some chartered accountant was treated badly in Delhi or Gurgaon, if I'm right. And then, of course, there is a lot of chartered accountants who went, protested, and things like that are happening. So my first question to you is, okay, yeah. So the first question to you is chartered accountant becoming a corporate victim? Think, of course, this session is all about think tank, so I'm not here to influence anything, but start thinking on those lines because corporate victim is very clear. We have a company. That company is being run by the board of directors. That company is owned by a shareholder. The next question that you should ask is, why me? Why me means, why us, why you? Because I'm still a student of CA. I've never passed anything. But please understand, why me? Correct, no? We are all professionals. We are trying to do some job, whether it is as a CFO, as a statutory auditor, as an internal auditor, as a cost auditor, as a whatever, statutory, whatever types of things, but we are trying to do a job. We are not running companies. Then why us? Think, I'm just leaving you with a lot of case laws where you need to understand what we are trying to or where we are trying to head to. Now, what I have also tried to do is we had 5 sessions. I don't know how many of you had gone through this. Incorporation, correct? The first session started with incorporation. So the story that I'm going to share with you is Pati, Patni or chartered accountant. No, we will see what that is, okay? Then there was a session by Srividya on various filings and all that, if I'm right. Correct? So filings, and Tirupal spoke on loans. So I have one related party related story on Bharat Pe Hamla. No. It's a company called Bharat Pe, and there is a Hamla. Okay. Now we'll see what was the Hamla and where is the chartered accountant's role in that as a related party transaction. Then there is something on non-compliances, for private companies. There I have a story which says the monk who sold the Ferrari to pay ROC. No, I'll tell you what, the company's name is called Valley Monk. So I'm not disconnecting you. It's a Valley Monk case. It's a local Bangalore-based case where the ROC levied 1.5 crores. So Ferrari, no, he has to sell himself to pay that due and then close the company and go. I mean, I'm just saying because it's all not possible. There is another similar story in Gujarat, which is called Chintan, a poor fellow, Tatva Chintan. This person levied 1.5 crores, that is competition 2 crores. Same violation, section 42. We'll see what is going right, what is going wrong in all of these things. Okay, so some of the stories that I am going to share are available in public domain. I mean, most of the stories are available in the public domain, and let's see what it is. For Tirupal session on loans, I have this story on PMC Bank. Daylight robbery, how a bank was looted by way of giving loans. I mean, you would have seen the session 185, 186, whatever. PMC Bank giving loan to HDIL, Divan Housing, then giving loan to HDIL giving it to somebody else. That project going wrong, PMC Bank tanking with about 7,000 crores out of 10,000 crores gone. So that is relating to loans. So what is going to happen is in the next 90 minutes, you will have a lot of these stories, and in between there will be sub stories and all that. So let us see how we can handle from a CA perspective, and wherever particular story that I am telling you, I will give you the penalties which are staring at us and what is the nature of penalty which is available. Now, before we even move there, what we need to understand is the prosecutions. So a very simple thing that you need to understand, the most popular notice that a regulator issues is pertaining to non-filing of financials and non-filing of annual return. One is not filing it. Then there is another case where the chartered accountant who uploaded the document did not upload it properly because the attachments were not visible or whatever. That is another case. Now to come to 137 and 92, which is financials and the annual return, what you need to understand, very simple, my dear friends, it's not something which is great. Now what it says is the moment you receive the notice from the regulator, which is the ROC, if you are in a position to file the documents within 30 days, then you can take cover under section 454 and you will not be prosecuted further. Are we getting it? So please understand, if the gap is more than 30 days, that is when the adjudication process starts. The only thing that you cannot move away from is 96, which is failure to hold the annual general meeting itself. So that is where the catch is. Clear? So these are some of the things. And then of course, Gurraj, one of my favorite speakers, he spoke on Caro. And for Caro, I am going to give you a case which is happening in the US currently. And similar thing is happening in India. So one case where they have gone after a CA firm in the US for two reasons, which I'll just tell you what it is. And similar things are happening here, which is, friends, very clear. You need to be very vigilant. If you are taking the management representation as final, gone are the days where you can seek protection under that particular representation letter and continue to protect yourself. That is that particular case in the US. They have come down heavily on a chartered accountant who relied on the management later. The second thing that you need to be aware is, if you have found an irregularity in the form of a related party transaction and you have not brought it to the notice in your auditor's report, I don't think anybody can come and intervene and help you. Clear? So this is the context that I have set for myself and for you today, whatever this session is. And please feel free to stop me, ask questions. I mean, that is more fun than, my going on for about 90 minutes and then trying to ask you, is there any questions? First of all, the question that you wanted to ask in the 10th minute, where will you remember in the 90th minute? So just stop me. Just feel free, raise your hand and then ask me questions. No, I just said that doesn't. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah. Very good. The cover that I am giving you is only for limited sections. That is, cover means is 30 days. If you read 454, it allows for only two sections, 137 and 92. Remaining sections, they are not covering under that particular 30 days. There it is at the discretion of the ROC whether to get you into the adjudication process or let you go. But there is something called natural justice, which is, what is believed is, if you are able to make good that particular form by filing it with some additional fees, okay, and if that form is not something that would have harmed the information process, there is always a room for you to make an appeal. So that is where, that again, I'm putting you into the natural justice stuff, where you have an opportunity to represent and say, it was an administrative error, I'm sorry. I mean, you can still be let go. I mean, that's where when he said, the penalties are going through the roof, CLC, that is CLC 2022, which is called Company Law Committee 2022, are reworking. And out of the 30 pages, in 15 pages, they have used the language ease of doing business. Somebody asked me, is it ease of doing business? No, English is a funny language, very funny language. You just twist it, you will understand. The second one, which I am talking about, ease of, means whether you should shut down your business. Or is it ease of? See, one F additional, if you put in that ease of doing business, whole meaning changes. So what is it that the regulator is looking at? I don't know. But long way. I'll tell you, because CLC, what they are trying to give you, I'll just give you a small heads up because I have not done that session for you. They are trying to bring in terms like restricted stock units, RSU, fractional shares, SAR, stock appreciation rights. These are all futuristic instruments which are not heard of in India. It's all borrowed from the West. So while we are in a hurry to emulate the West, are we prepared? Do you know the impact of fractional shares? I'll just give you a small example and then move on, which is, an Aam Admi who has 100 rupees in the packet wants to buy MRF shares. Now, MRF is the cheapest, lowest trading value, which is at about 68,500 rupees per share. How will you give it to him? I don't know. Just because cryptocurrency is doing something like that, can you equate that to Indian shares? And if you're going to look at Indian shares, 0.0000, I don't know how many zeros, there is a shareholder in my room, annual general meeting, who is questioning my all-time favorite Mukesh Ambani on why he is taking so much of remuneration. Shareholder democracy. Whether you hold 99% of the company shares or if you hold 0.000001 shares, what shareholder democracy means? Every shareholder can speak. Will you allow somebody to speak? But as per that, you can. So fractional shares and all is a huge challenge. We need to think how to do all those things. Okay, I mean, I just gave you a heads up on what this CLC is. Okay. Now, this is my first case, which is Gurdas Saha, not Gurdas Man. It is Gurdas Saha. Now, here is a chartered accountant. This chartered accountant was penalized 50,000 rupees. Let me give you a background. I did some, so I always thank CA Institute for giving me some innovative topics because that makes me do some more research on this person. So very simple. I picked his din. I figured out where all he is a director. Then figured out why did CA Institute penalize him. Okay. Now, before even going to the case, I will just ask you a very interesting question. I mean, these are all practical problems, huh? Because you would find that 34 chartered accountants penalized for helping a Chinese company incorporate. Right? I mean, is there a restriction under the ICAI Act that you cannot lend your name as a director? Think it is not very easy doing business, right? So my first question is, can a chartered accountant be a director? Can a chartered accountant be a director of a company for the purpose of incorporation? 50-50. No, yes. Why not? Why not is a good answer, but then I see a disciplinary committee like come and ask, why not? Why not I should penalize you? No, I don't know. So why not is a good question. Let's put it on hold because you may not be able to be a subscriber. You can be a director for the purpose of subscription because the language used in the act, in the when I say act, it's not Companies Act, it's in the CA Act. It says director simpliciter. And then they are going on to give you a clarification on who a director simpliciter is. And unfortunately, the example given is of an independent director. Now, what you need to understand is why not? Provided I don't make money out of that directorship. Are you getting the point? That is what this case is all about. Next, can a CA be a director of a company set up by them to do some other business? Set up by them means by somebody else to do business? Answer is no. Please don't get into any of those things because I'm giving you a clarification on that. Be a director of the company set up by them to do non-audit business. Now, this is the most popular form of doing business. You as a chartered accountant can, with one more person, incorporate a company or a LLP or whichever form you are in and do non-audit business in that. Audit, you will use the firm. This is non-audit services. Be a director of a startup in an advisory capacity. See, please be careful. Director, advisory, there is consideration. Can you do that? No. No. Understood. So where money is coming in, people have to be very careful. I'll tell you why. Be a whole-time director. Yeah. A CFO becoming a director of the company becomes a whole-time director. Simple. So permissible. A CFO and director, this is an amazing combination. Yes. Okay, while there is still some issue pertaining to a KMP has to be separate, a director has to be separate, I think it is becoming tested. Only a CFO and a CS combination is not permissible, but still you have some 4 companies, big companies in the country who have clubbed this position. But technically speaking, KMP, these two should be separate. Be an independent director, that is a chartered accountant in practice. Can they also be an independent director? The answer is yes. Huh? Be an independent director of company in which they were auditors. No, wait. That's what is also coming up in CLC. There is a cooling off period. Now, what they are all bringing out is you cannot totally restrict, which is you are a auditor, you quit. Then you want to become an independent director. They are proposing a 1-year cooling off window. Clear? There is another lovely instance which is coming up in corporates. You are a auditor and you have to become a managing director of the same company. There are a lot of these combinations which are coming out because then you are a chartered accountant who is an independent director who wants to become the managing director of that company. Now, please understand, all restrictions are going except for a cooling off period which is coming. And these are all some of the good things which CLC has done. I am not completely a critic on the CLC stuff. Some of them are really good. So this is good. So you can switch your role provided there is a cooling off period. Clear? So this being the background, let's go back to this Gurdas Saha and see what went wrong for this person. So, very simple. I will just go to the penal provision. You can do the homework, please, because see, this is where it says, a chartered accountant in practice shall not engage in any business or occupation other than profession of accountancy, except with permission granted by the institute. But there is also a provision which talks about being, see, this is what I said, director simpliciter, which includes an independent director. So looks like where there is money, you cannot be a director and make money out of that company. Clear? Now, penalty is very simple. If you see, there are two companies for which he was penalized. One was a pharma company. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Hemprova Multipurpose and Agro Private Limited, which was incorporated along with his wife. That's where this person got into problems. The second one is still running. It is an active company, Financial Value Added Services India, along with the freight. So, company which you incorporated for non-audit services are still a go by, but today things have changed. Nobody is having a company as a service provider. It's all converted into LLPs. Clear? So, this is where the whole case is on prosecution of a chartered accountant for holding the position of a director. Okay. Now, next came the news item, 30 chartered accountants and company secretaries booked into 34 company scam, whatever, So what was this problem? Very simple. See, lawyers can do this, which is lending their name to incorporate a company. Now, it was found that there were a lot of chartered accountant and company secretaries also who went and lent their name to become directors of these companies. Okay. Now, again, look at this. I mean, I don't know where is it wrong? Why not? That is what I would ask. Where is it said that you cannot handle the incorporation? Unless you have a specific clause, let me know, because I don't find there is a reason to say no unless you make money out of those companies. Okay. Now, this is the question that I asked you in the beginning. Is chartered accountant becoming more or less a corporate victim? Why not penalize the company? Why not penalize a director? Why me? And that's the question which is coming up. Okay. Now to top it, look at the comments that some of the leading business guys had given. Uday Kota comes and says auditors, one of the weakest links in corporate governance. Then PwC resigns as statutory auditor of Reliance Capital. All these happened so fast. Then you have two NSCL auditors arrested. So, okay, one more PMC Bank is what I'm going to. So what is happening is, friends, there is a spate of resignations which has happened because of the penalties and prosecutions which are on the high. So is it a good sign, bad sign, wrong sign? I think we need to probe further. And what I still feel is the sync between the regulator and the chartered accountant. My friend just asked something about the filing. Is the MCA website working? I mean, I don't think it is working in whatever form it has to work. Is V3 working? Incorporation documents are getting rejected left, right, center without somebody even seeing it. So, no, I am arguing from your side. No, I am with you actually. So why are we not as an institution representing this with our government and telling them, hey boss, while you are alleging me on so many other things, look at all this which is happening in your own system. So there is a flaw. What I'm trying to say is the connect has to happen, which is not happening. And one more thing very important, I think government has to invest a huge money on the infrastructure to get our servers of MCA, servers of income tax to the next level. That round, whenever there is a last date or 3 days before, even Reserve Bank of India website is like that. So being a software capital of the world, I think We are not doing enough from a infrastructure point of view. Okay. Now, there is another case where chartered accountant was reprimanded. Now, if you find the disciplinary committee taking the view why they only reprimanded this person, very funny. Now, here was a genuine case. Okay, this person made two mistakes. Okay, I mean, you want to just note down, just note down. This is available in TaxScan. Okay, taxscan.in, and you will find this complete. It's a big article. I've just picked up only one or two paras for convenience. Okay, so two things. One is this chartered accountant put by mistake loss when there was profit. Okay, that became a misstatement. Okay, he did not read it or whatever it is. And then number two, Form 23B, very, very important for all chartered accountants, because if you are going to get appointed, you need this form. This person failed to file. Then there was a committee set up, and then they went through, and what is very interesting is if you see the last but one line, taking into consideration the respondent's age and also health condition. So looks like it was a very, very senior chartered accountant who got into this mess. They did not levy any monetary staff. They just cancelled his registration. Clear? So this is the level up to which a disciplinary committee can go and hit you. Now, for those of you who are interested in knowing about penalties, look up the NFRA website, ILFS case, one of the best orders issued so far, where a few chartered accountants actually got into the grind and they were punished also. But from an order point of view and from an analysis point of view, IL and FS, NFRA website, look for the order. Okay. So this is what I just told you. I mean, very quickly, I'll just take you through some of these lovely cases. Pati, Patni or CA. Now, you will be wondering what is this case? Incorporation, because the first session was incorporation. You need to be very careful, friends. This is the story of Nagappan versus Swarnalatha. Okay. This Nagappan is an entrepreneur who wanted to incorporate a company. He used the services of a professional. Okay. He gave all the documents that the professional asked. Understand, huh? The professional trusted on all those papers, uploaded the forms, incorporation was done. Happy ending. There's nothing, no, there's no story at all actually. Now, it appears that Nagappan and Swarnalatha were on a divorce mode. Swarnalatha got to know that this company has got incorporated. She woke up and slapped a notice on Nagappan and the professional who helped to incorporate. Are we getting it? Now that is why I said Pati Patni or gangster. Sorry, Pati Patni or wo. Actually, we cannot even get inside. You put wo as whatever. What is it? They made us a gangster actually. Forget even wo. So how is a professional involved in this? Very simple. You know what has happened? So there was one document where the signature of Swarnalatha was required. Now, this person said, I will get you the signature, and he got the signature. Now, the lady says, I have never signed the document. Now, where on earth will you go and prove a fight between a husband and wife and you are in between, and how will you get out? Now, very serious. First time I have heard NCLT coming out in the order saying, this incorporation is illegal. The company is gone. So they just struck it off. Now, that is for Nagappan. For the professional, what happened? The case was referred to the disciplinary committee. So, what is very important? Takeaway from the story is, I have in my previous sessions also harped on this particular thing on signature. Please note, any human being's liability is a signature, first and foremost. Earlier, you were signing it with a pen. Whether it is a 5 rupee pen or the most expensive pen, signature is a signature. That used to be called wet signature. Now your problem is dry signature. Now you're wondering, after Corona, everything is dry. So what is this dry signature? Dry signature, my friends, is a big fooling technique. In fact, I should allow one of the youngsters from my office to explain to you a docu sign. Of course, they have even mastered how to mask also. Okay, I mean, today's generation is amazing. So docu sign is nothing but copying your signature from some document, taking it and pasting it in another document and giving it to you. Dangerous? Now the other thing what is coming up is the DSC. Again, I have said so much about DSC and how important it is, because for a DSC, it is end game. Why? Because the moment you apply the DSC, your name, date, time. Is there any way you can reverse it? No. Clear? Any questions? Yeah, because these are all awareness sessions, boss. And I love telling cautionary tales, and that is why I'm here. It is not to put you off or whatever. Gurraj always tells me, this man starts from 447 only, was. I mean, when there is 147 and 447, you have to start from there. No, I mean, that is where the liability of a professional arises. So clear? So this is the case on, Nagappan Swarnalata. You can just note down this if you want. It's called Nagappan Swarnalata versus Color Books Associates Private Limited. It's an NCLT case, I think 2019 case. Okay, and which is very important from a professional point of view. Okay, now what is the outcome? Yeah, I just keep telling, if there is a fight between the husband and wife, anything born out of this wedlock may be a deadlock. Even it happens to be a company under Companies Act. That's what is the fate of this particular company, and it got hit. Okay, now other reliefs we should, respondent number 2, to discharge liabilities on behalf of so-and-so done in the course of business. Incorporation of the company is vitiated by fraud, and consequently the certificate of incorporation is null and void. And from a professional point of view, it was referred to the disciplinary committee. Okay, now what arises from this particular penalty? 448, false statement. Unfortunately, you never even knew, but you were party to that, which is called false statement. Then you have got 447, where it talks about what is a prosecution for any false statement. So 2 sections that you need to look for. Okay. The next thing, this is also appearing in a big way. Please be careful. Appearances by authorized representation. Now the takeaway for you is, you may appear in many forums. Please don't commit on behalf of a client. Very dangerous, right? I mean, unless you have the client's 100% with you, please be careful. Now, even for DSC, what many people have started doing, in fact, one of the previous sessions, somebody said, we always get a written confirmation from the client before we go ahead and upload a document where the DSC of the client is required. Backup, 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 evidence, evidence, evidence. Clear? I mean, I'm not saying all of us will get into problems, but in case, then we should know where is the backup plan. Okay. Next, related party. Now, this is another very interesting case. I just said Bharat Pe Hamla, but okay, what is this case? I don't know how many of you know Ashnish Grover, Madhuri Jain, Shark Tank, but here the shark tanked. Okay. No, he was in the show Shark Tank, and then that show Piyush Goyal or Piyush Bansal. No, the moment somebody has a surname Bansal, they think they are Flipkart promoters. So this guy said, "Chartered accountant se dur raho." That was the most popular thing which happened in Shark Tank. It's all a reality show. That's different. So how did this Grover's life become a reality show? Okay, from zero to unicorn in 2 years flat. Or 3 years flat. Unbelievable. And if you read this story, it's a 3-idiot story. Dropouts from IIT incorporated this company, and I would just connect it to that story. I would say Amir Khan is like, or this Grover is like Amir Khan. Okay, he pitched in. He's the brain. He pitched in at a later date to take the company to the next level. Okay, everything was fantastic. Now, where did he get caught? One is Shark Tank. Okay, he did nothing there, but I'm just saying. And after Shark Tank, he was returning home and there was a call. Now, on the call, there was a Kotak Bank employee. All these are available in public domain. Huh? Then that guy started asking him for money or whatever, that loan which he had given or whatever. Then the discussions went very bad. And then all the popular cuss words in Mumbai came out. It's all there. Is there. So then this guy goes on public domain, says, no, I never spoke anything like that. Looks like it's all doctored. There's somebody who is after me for money and all that. The board woke up. The company woke up. Look, see, what I'm trying to say is when you are in such a good position with a 10,000 crore company, you need to also be aware, that there's a lot of responsibility. Then started the investigation process. For what? For actually that video. But look what happened. I'm going to put it up in the next slide. So the question was, where was the chartered accountant? I mean, every time there's a problem, the first question what is asked is two questions actually. Where is the board? Where is the chartered accountant? As if there is no other employee in the company. That's okay. So bank came it, but you should understand what happened in the real stuff. When the investigations happened, see what all they found. Unbelievable, my dear friends. In fact, I have said, Bharat Pe Satyam. No. Bharat Pe Satyam means truth in Bharat. This I can play around with words, whatever. What is the truth here? What Satyam Ramalinga Raju did, see, it's all happening. Ghost employees, ghost invoices. Looks like people have taken that as a serious lesson, and more and more people are adopting to those practices actually. I don't know. Look at this. GST was paid, no invoice. I've just listed out some because of paucity of time. I'm just putting this, but you can do a detailed research on this. Then came another chartered accountant who did a forensic audit. Now, one of the big four, out of the audit, they found out so many irregularities inside the company. I mean, what I'm trying to tell you is the role of a chartered accountant in any of these issues. So the first question that, so for example, look at this, point number 2. Paid recruitment fees to a number of consultants for employees recruited on their behalf, which means money tripping, round tripping. Clear? I mean, these are all, of course, age-old practices which keep happening. And then you have last 3 invoices. For point number 5, Jane had received at least 3 of these invoices and forwarded them to the company for payments. So they started creating all of these to generate cash. Clear? So learnings are, again, the same thing which I told you, Caro. I'm telling you from the US SEC point of view, from India point of view, I think when you have found something, you have to disclose. That is the learning from Bharat Pay. Yeah. Now, related party transaction, this is the penalty. Penalties are huge, my dear friends. Please don't refrain from reporting, because one more thing which is there in the CLC report is they are going to tighten the qualification process, which means currently the qualification that chartered accountants are putting up in the annual report is not good enough, which means they are coming up with lot of changes. Long time to go, but this is already there in the report. Okay. Now reporting of fraud. Now this is fraud. So the question that came up is, why did the chartered accountant not report? I mean, every time this happens actually. And even if you report, like in Jet Airways, 2018 balance sheet, very interesting case. You should try and look at it actually. 2018 balance sheet of Jet Airways. It's a beauty for a chartered accountant. Just go through it. See what all they reported. But the only thing that was not reported is under section 134 5F. Under 134 subsection 5 subclause F. Under director's responsibility statement, first thing says our company is a going concern. Now see, chicken and egg story. The directors have to put that based on what the chartered accountant's view is. Chartered accountant says I will put based on what the management says. Going concern concept is so dangerous. So I asked, in fact, my friend Sundaresan of Deloitte, was if this is the case, then at what point will you as a chartered accountant trigger that going concern? And when will a chartered accountant say this company is not a going concern anymore? Correct, no? December 2018, I think KPMG were the auditors or whatever of that company. And within 3 months, my dear friends, that company tanked. I'm talking about Jet Airways. Because on April 18th, 2019, Jet Airways closed. No, that is taking you to a next world altogether, my dear friends, which means, this is a hypothetical story, huh? Can the best company in the country get closed in 1 day's notice? What is your take? Why? No. Suppose somebody is highly, they see, it's all the Buddha moment, right? The Buddha moment. The Siddharth becoming the Buddha moment, and an entrepreneur suddenly hits that in a system and he says, Nirvana, from tomorrow I don't want to do business, shut down. Can you shut down? Answer is yes, my dear friends. I am being very vocal. If Jet Airways can close, I think 350,000 companies in this country can close for no reason. No, you have any doubt on this? I mean, does it sound very dramatic or something like that? No. No, because your faces are changing. So I'm just asking. So, not practical. Why not? Are do you know what is the debt that company has left behind? How can you do that? Oh, there are a lot of stories inside that company. Yeah. So, no, I don't know, but if you had a big screen, it would have been fun actually to get them on the video and then ask them questions. So, I mean, they can put it up on the chat box and more than happy to answer. But please understand, if jet can happen, anything can happen. That is your understanding. So from where I'm coming from a chartered accountant perspective. So it's a nightmare for you guys. You cannot make an assessment. Okay, Sundaresan, what he said, no, if the banker thinks that they can fund the company further, then as a chartered accountant, I will not qualify it as a not going concern. Got the point? So you are dependent on the promoter giving an assurance that they will infuse capital, or a banker or whoever saying that I will put in more money. It doesn't close. So think. I'm just putting it across, Yeah.
Nobody has opted to take any action against them.
Nobody has?
Nobody, the board of directors of the company is not opted to take any action against them, apart from just voting out from the company. Clearly, there's a case for a criminal case, and the board of directors, for obvious reasons, have not done anything. One thing is that the Companies Act itself, as far as the director is concerned, or the board of directors is concerned, they are very vague responsibilities. But when you come to chartered accountant professionals, you're very specific responsibility attached. And because it's easier to take action against professionals, you go to that path. Even if you look at that particular matter, Ashni Grover 3 days back is talking about setting up another unicorn.
Yeah, I know. Life goes on for them. But for us, life comes to a stop. And one more thing, actually today morning I was addressing another group of people for about 3 hours on all this, and that's what the liabilities of board and things like that, if you really see. What you are saying is bang on. So one more thing that these people should think, the CLC or whatever, why are the forensic reports not being made public? If I'm talking about big, large IT company which took action just 3 years back based on a forensic audit report, or for example, BharatPay took these are not something which are published. These are all private documents. Based on the private finding, you take a call. And as you rightly said, so the only person who's a scapegoat to the whole incident is just one person who's going out of the system. But you as auditors or whichever CFO, whatever, I mean, a chartered accountant plays numerous actually, according to me, 9 different roles in a company. I mean, time permitting, I'll just go through it. So you have multiple roles to perform, you get stuck. So can't do anything. I mean, that's where it is. So Chinatown is very simple. This is again, this is further prosecution which was brought out for helping a Chinese company. There are a lot of these cases you can just go through. Again, as I told you, for want of time, I cannot put all these companies. But there is one more case which you can just go through and learn. This is again a loan app. It's a betting related thing which happened, and where it spiraled, and there was something which went all out cheating around 100 crores and all that, and that's where the mastermind was found to be somebody, and then they hooked. But one more thing in the media which I find is, they don't go behind that person. An accountant is also chartered accountant. A tax auditor in Chickpet who just puts a board, who is just a BCom or even less, he's also chartered accountant. So looks like anybody who deals with accounts is a chartered accountant. So that is where another misleading things are happening basically from the media's side. Okay, so basically they arrested somebody and then he was prosecuted. Now, very interesting case on the filings, the monk who sold Ferrari. Now this is again, what happened, I'll give you in a very simple. So there is a company called Valley Monk. Okay, what happened was there was a filing that was required to be made. There is this PAS4. When you do a section 42, when you raise capital, you are supposed to file that form also. Now what has happened is apparently these directors have not been advised or whatever, and they have not filed this form. Came the prosecution. And if you read that penalty provision in that particular clause, it says penalty up to 2 crores. That is what is frightening actually. And there is a minimum penalty of 50 lakhs. So looks like it's defeating the purpose or whatever. And no, minimum penalty came because of the issue size. Sorry. So what it says, minimum penalty or the size of the issue, whichever is lower. So that is where they invoked the company. Then you had 2 more directors, and that's how the total came to 1.5 crores. Clear? So that is why this case holds very, very great importance, where your filing is of paramount importance. Don't take it lightly. I know filing of forms is only an administrative issue, but arising out of the administrative issue are the penalties which are coming up. Okay, so name of the company I've just given. So in case you want to do some more homework, Valley Monks Private Limited. It is a ROC Bangalore case. Date of the order is 21st November 2021. And this is a very simple case of not opening a bank account. Yeah, that Tattva Chintan I think was on forms. This is not opening a bank account to deposit the money that was received and keep it separately. And any violation under section 42, the penalty is huge. Okay, so I've just given you in a very brief manner what it is. Next is Tattva Chintan. This is another case which you can note down. This is Tattva Chintan Pharma based out of Gujarat, and similar offense, which is not opening a bank account, and the penalty became 2 crores. These cases are for good reference at a later date. And this happened immediately after the Bangalore case happened, and that is when everybody was shaken up actually. Now, certification of e-forms. Now, this is where it becomes a huge issue. Now, another practical issue I'll tell you. Director, certain things which you have to be very careful when you are filing. Please do not certify a form where there is a dispute related issue. Now, I'll tell you. 1 or 2 I'll tell you, the rest is all your wisdom. Many companies will come and tell you resignation of a director. Please file. Dangerous. I'm not saying don't touch the form. Do due diligence on that resignation before filing. Many a times what happens, my dear friends, there are only 2 directors in a private company. One director may not like the face of the other director, and that person may just produce something and then give it to you. There are so many cases where professionals have come and got caught in this whole thing. So stay away from resignation. Do your diligence before certification. One. The second learning is there are instances where people come and ask you to file for vacation of office of a director. Now, friends, please understand there is a provision on removal of director. Now, that is one of the toughest provisions ever. You cannot just, removal of auditor and removal of director are the toughest. Because somebody is not able to go and initiate that case under 184, on that removal, not 184, on removal, what happens is they invoke that particular provision pertaining to vacation, and more popularly, which is the clause which comes up, a director not attending the meetings for a period of 12 months. Dangerous. You are trading on a landmine. It's bound to bust at some point of time. Take cover, ask them for sufficient documents. Please don't go and certify these forms. Okay, third one I'll tell and then I'll move on from this, which is, these are all practical things which I come across, which I'm just sharing with you. Third one, going ahead and certifying a form or a document pertaining to a director. Now, many a time, some of my good friends have been called to the police station. Why? Because they want to know if this professional has seen that particular director. Now, if your answer is going to be no, I think you are heading for trouble. Are you getting it? I've just touched only 3 simple cases on certification. Getting into. Okay, one more. All these money related issue. Please ask for the bank statement before attesting that form. You have every right, my dear friends, to call for, say one director comes and says, we have received 1 crore, please go ahead, file those necessary forms. I want to see the bank statement. Simple. This is all nothing great. So I'm just saying, please ask. Okay. Next. Now again, consequences I've just told you, AOC4 and annual return, and then what is the way out. So there is a escape route available on that. Next, loans. Give it, forget it. Now this is another great scam which has happened, and you should do some very good research. This is the PMC Bank, HDIL and Diwan housing scam. Yeah. Now look how the round tripping happens. Nobody is there to ask questions. There is a common person in all these companies which is called Vadwa. Okay. So who is this character? This character is sitting as a chairperson in PMC Bank. Same person is sitting as chairman of HDIL, and the same person is involved with Diwan housing. How easy it is to round trip, and how easy is it to siphon off money? Story is very simple. PMC Bank got 10,000 crores in its kitty. HDIL made an intercorporate loan of 7,000 crores request from PMC Bank. And that is why cooperative society banks are all under scanner now, because it is nobody's bank. Looks like that, these are all Sangli Bank. There's huge number. In fact, somebody had predicted post this PMC Bank, there may be many banks which will go through the roof. I don't know, many news has come, but this is a very good case which you need to know. That is why in the CLC report, they are suggesting that there cannot be a direct conversion of a cooperative bank, a cooperative society into a private company. They will not allow conversion. But maybe you have to set up another company to transfer the funds. Maybe, and this is my wild guess. So coming back to PMC, so 7,000 crores without anybody's approval or just the approval of Vadwa went from one bank to HDIL. Now HDIL in turn gave that money to Diwan Housing. Diwan Housing in turn put the money in some huge contract, failed. Now how this whole, what do you call this, this Pune schemes and all which comes, no, Ponzi scheme. Simple. One place you fail, all the things backfires and PMC lost the 7,000 crores. Clear? So, where I am coming from is this loans from a chartered accountant point of view is a very critical, I mean, of course, Tirupal would have dealt with that in detail. You need to figure out what is real, what is gas, what is fictitious, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, so Raghuram Rajan had said this, there are limits to RBI oversights of banks, and good lending practices cannot be ensured by having an RBI director on board of banks. Why he made this statement is very simple. Now this Vadwa on the same boards is called board interlocking. Very important. Board interlocking is the same director being on multiple boards and influencing the decisions of the company on loans. Okay, so the gist is very simple. PMC created 21,049 dummy accounts. Imagine. So nobody could find actually. Thank God after about a year or so, it just burst out of proportion and it came into the open. So whatever 7,000 crores was given to create a buffer, they had created 21,000 dummy accounts. Okay. Now, basically what happened is PMC gave money to HDIL, which is Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited, 6,500 crores, which is 70% of the bank total loans. HDIL gave money to the promoters, group company. The project failed. HDIL died. PMC died. So this is in short the story of PMC bank failure. So very dangerous actually, I mean, the way this crisscrossing of money is happening, I think, the more and more responsibilities of accountants are really becoming very, very big. You call it related party or you call it round tripping. I mean, more or less it's the same. Okay, so this is the person, Varyam Singh, who is the chairman of PMC Bank, was also the chairman of many companies of the Vadwa group. Okay, now, loans, what are the penalties has been given. So I'm not getting into details. Now, okay, any questions? Any questions so far? There are a lot of changes which are coming up, friends, even holding companies. There is a suggestion for auditors of holding company to do one more audit on subsidiary company. Now, smile should come on your face provided they are giving you money for that also. Otherwise, it is waste of time and energy. How can the auditor of a holding company be held liable for the subsidiary company for which the auditor is completely different? So, I mean, these are all when it comes at the representation stage itself. I mean, I think we should make proper representation so that all these things does not go through and then you are put into hardship. Clear? There is one more concept which is coming up for companies with turnover limits. They are planning to introduce joint audit. No single audit. They're all going to become joint audits. Now again, the chemistry of these two auditors should be good. And it's all, no, or each of these auditors should try and bifurcate saying this is my area, this is my area. Now the big question that I want to ask you is, when there is a Satyam, which auditor will be hauled up? I mean, these are all practical questions, right? I mean, for me, from a regulator point of view, both of you are on the same pedestal. Statutory auditors, instead of one, you are two. That's all. So will I book you separately or I mean, one good thing is you have company. No, don't ask me where, but company. But otherwise the downside is the responsibility. So this is also another thing which is being proposed and which is in the pipeline. Clear? Next. So this is what I was just telling you, very, very important from India point of view. So the responsibilities that are cast on the auditor is also on the same lines as the West. Now this is the case. This is a very recent case which has happened where the firm was penalized. Now look for what it was penalized. I've just highlighted in red, which is The firm improperly accepted a client's conclusion. That is where I'm saying, investment, all these things are becoming a huge one. Okay, just a quick one, being a chartered accountant community. Investment in cryptocurrency, permissible, not permissible? Okay. So as a CA, when you see this line item by a company, say for example, 100 crores invested in a cryptocurrency, is it good to go or is it something that may require qualification? You can take the mic, no? Yeah. The first impression that I get from many of them is no, it is not, it's illegal.
No, it's not illegal per se because Supreme Court itself overturned the RBI's decision to stop trading, rather to stop transfer of money in relation to cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency per se is not banned. It can still be considered as a commodity, and you can still recognize that as in your books. The question is that because the volatility and the risk associated with it, how will the auditors view that? Right? But prima facie, if you ask, is a company barred from having cryptocurrency in books? The answer is no. Company can still have that.
But again, don't you think the materiality issue kicks in?
Yeah, that's what I said. As an auditor, I will have to take I have to decide on what kind of view, because there's no guidance as such. I want to evaluate what is the fluctuation, what kind of value will it have. So even today, Bitcoin is below $20,000.
Yeah,
today.
correct. It's dropped quite a bit actually.
Yeah, but if the question is having cryptocurrency, owning cryptocurrency illegal? No.
Okay. Now, I know there is no guidance note as of now, right? Has CA Institute issued guidance note on valuing or valuation of crypto? Huh. So why I asked you this question is based on this case. So basically right now, you have only accepted a client's conclusion. The value, say for example, 100 crores. Today, the value is 80 crores. I mean, because of drop or whatever. So from a chartered accountant point of view, you need to be very clear on what is this opinion that we are taking and what we are expressing. Because please understand, this is shareholders' money. So from a CA point of view, you are answerable to the shareholder, because this is one beautiful thing where shareholders appoint you. It's not the board or the company which appoints. So your first duty is to the shareholders. So from that viewpoint, I'm trying to check with you on the crypto, because cryptocurrency is becoming very popular. It is becoming a big investment related issue. And of course, there's the risk management committee which goes through all of that is fine. But finally, after it is made, there is only an entry available. And the biggest fear from our point of view is, where is the backup document? Correct? No? If you put it in a physical asset, you can see it. Now here is something which is in a fungible form. You cannot see it. So how do I trust this particular issue? I mean, think, I'm just opening up a futuristic stuff, which is what is going to hit us in the next 2 years. It's not very far off, because next 5 years, the market says the best form of returns will be only from crypto. I mean, that is also one of the versions which is being exchanged. Yeah, see, we are used to this traditional view of thinking where every asset should be visible. Then what will happen? How will we enter metaverse? I mean, think, we are all getting prepared to move into a virtual world, right? I saw some video where somebody's in the office and there is virtual office and some lady is going and saying hi, and this fellow is saying hi. I felt I was in a different world, demands, right? So where nothing is there, there's a virtual somebody. So we are all getting there. So this also is one of those stuff where being fungible, it's virtual and you cannot see. So it's a big matter. I'm only talking about 100 crores now. Imagine, I don't know, God save. So
accountants to be objective and independent, exercise our discretion. right? So sometimes, as a matter of fact, as you rightly said, we just rely on clients,
Yeah.
either because of trust or because you know them. But the point is that irrespective of whether the transaction per se is traditional, non-traditional, you still have to be questioning. You should still have you should still have the objectiveness and independence which is required.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel that we probably don't stick to that particular requirement in certain cases, either because as you rightly said, sometimes you just trust people, or sometimes you don't have the requisite background or context.
Because impairment is a huge issue. How much? What is it on that particular date? Understand the onus is completely on the statutory audit. So I just want to tell you, because this case, if you see, what says is goodwill was not impaired or reduced in value. Now, just replace that goodwill with investment. That is where we are fitting in the cryptocurrency world. So that's an issue. Then, yeah, so they say collect evidence, evidence, evidence. Now, as auditors, that's the only thing that I can think of. The second one was very simple. Failed to address known issues involving related party. Friends, I want to bring this thing into your notice, which is, it's not only Bharat Pay. Bharat Pay, you saw how they used whatever brother-in-law, that, this. I think it's becoming bigger and bigger by the day. So I know of another startup where that person is paying the spouse, the children, everybody. Okay. End of the day, if the investors don't have a problem, I don't have a problem. But when it comes to the related party thing, I think we need to exercise extra caution in trying to bring it out from a disclosure point of view. No, otherwise it's going to get us into problems. I mean, the big case is the Indigo case, where the two partners fought. One partner said that you are making money out of private transactions, etc., etc. Now, these are some of the issues. See, till somebody is not going to point fingers or this case is not becoming public, nobody is investigating into your case. The moment it becomes public, you as a statutory auditor come into the limelight. So that is where, I mean, so I have this popular thing which I say, as professionals, all of us should understand that if there is no event, or I call it sambhav, during your lifetime, I think that is when you can call yourself successful. One event and it can turn your reputation off into nothing, right? So this is very important. So till then, I think we are all safe. Yeah. So that is one. Next is the questions that I want you to ask, my dear friends. This is becoming a huge issue today. One, very important. With whom are we doing business? I mean, I think before you touch any paper, please ask this question. With whom are we doing business? Nagappan Swarnalata case is what I started with, where without your knowledge or with your knowledge, you got into humans, I'm talking about the professional, got into a problem, and then we never knew how to get out of that problem. Clear? So with whom you do business is the critical question, number one. Number two, by doing such business, are we going to become a corporate victim? Any transaction, be careful, check out if you are the victim or not. Third is, very quickly, I think you should collect yourself and ask what is the worst that can happen. And this is one exercise which I think all of us should do on an annual basis, which is figure out that particular transaction which can put you out of business and just get away from that business. No, I'm being very clear on, because when this Companies Act came, I know I was standing in front of you and I was telling, instead of looking at 147 and 447, why don't you look at 134? Or sorry, 135, which is corporate social responsibility. There seems to be more money, but look at that. Now every CFO of a company is now booked for giving a false representation on CSR. Now that's very critical. Huh? March 31st of every year is when you are supposed to spend the money. It is not allocating the money. Gone are the days where you gave the money to an NGO and you claim to the world that I have done my bit. No, sorry, last January. So what has happened? CFO has to get a back-to-back certification from the NGO. NGO should say that the money is spent on or before March 31st of every year. Now, failing which, understand, failing which, it is a CFO's responsibility to collect the money from the NGO and put it in a separate account between April 1st and April 30th. And that money in turn, you have to go and spend before September 30th in PM cares. This is how it is. Now, how to beat the system, maybe offline, I'll tell you how to do it, but the law as such is this. Clear? So understand, how did CSR come? When I spoke 6 years back, it was fun, right? No liability. They said no problem. If you can, you spend. Then slowly the concept of comply or explain came. Then we said, okay, even if we don't spend, we can explain. Then they said comply and explain. See, English, no? I mean, it's a very funny language. Comply and explain. Then we said, oh, you have to comply and then explain also. Now, fortunately, January, they said comply or get prosecuted. No, fortunately, they withdrew that thing on the penal provision. Otherwise, it would have become. So, a charity has also got legalized or legislated actually. Now, what you need to do? Now they have said, okay, let go everybody, let catch the CFO. That's what I said, no? Chartered accountant. It's a pride to be a chartered accountant. That we are all over the place. Catch that CFO and get a certification done. Clear? So till charity. So I started with a divorce statement and then we closed with a charity. Till charity, I think there are issues. Clear? Any questions? Any questions that you have? Because from a role of a chartered accountant, I think that's what I said, no, Navras. This multiple things. From my perspective, I think internal auditor is the safest. Because as on date, you don't have any penal provision. Only inside the company you may lose the job or not or whatever, but it's safe. So the only character who does not have a penalty is an internal auditor. Clear? Cost auditor. Now the cost auditor falls in the same category as a statutory auditor. In case something goes wrong, you are booked under section 148. Valuation professional. This is another CA thing which is coming up in a big way. Please note, you are liable. Okay. But of course, you will always put a disclaimer there. The disclaimer clause can always help you. Don't forget to put the disclaimer clause that based on whatever data was provided to us, first page, last paragraph. Please don't forget to put that. That makes you safe. Okay. Then officer in default. This is what I said. Whichever way you look at it, whether as an accountant you are liable, whether as a chartered accountant you are liable, CFO you are liable. That's a big point which is it. Now from a practicing chartered accountant point, I've just told you what are all the issues that we can get into and where we can what issues can get us into problems. Okay. Then we have a civil liability, we have a criminal liability. Okay. Now criminal liability, please understand, can be invoked only when there is a fraud. Rest is all civil liability. Okay. Only fraud. We can invoke. Fraud is, there are only two cases in this country from independence, which is Satyam and IL&FS. These are the only two cases of fraud. Okay. Next is, there are two things out there. Please understand, penalty and fine. Now, there is a big distinction. Most of it has now become penalty, which you can be let go on. Fine is something which is a problematic one, which can be civil and which can be criminal in nature, which is wherever there is a provision pertaining to imprisonment, you get into a problem. Otherwise, there is no problem. You can always compound something which is there under penalty. Under penalty also, I've told you there are provisions where you pay it or rectify it, you will be allowed to let go. But instances of adjudication is after repetitive notice from the registrar of companies, if you do not fail to appear, or if you fail to appear, that's when you get into adjudication process. Clear? Now, you should also understand one more beautiful thing which is emerging. If you have a difficulty, that is, suppose an order is levied by ROC, there is an appeal to RD. From RD, it goes to NCLT. From NCLT, it goes to NCLAT. And from NCLAT, if you have all the money in the world, you can go to Supreme Court. So there are now 5 stages of redressal for any of your issues. Clear? Now there are a lot of these cases like Subbalakshmi case, which I was just discussing in Baswangudi branch, which is very clear. ROC had 3 years, they did not file the balance sheet. The registrar of companies ordered for strike off. Now this is another thing which is coming up in CLC. I'll tell you what it is. Very nice one which is coming up. So what happened? The company people did not want the company to wind up because there was a due of 71 lakhs from some Madhura Vrindavan company or whatever. They went on an appeal to NCLT. NCLT said nothing doing. You never bothered to file your balance sheet for 3-4 years. It is a fit case of strike off. These people did not leave. They went to NCLAT. NCLAT found merit in the case and they said nothing doing. This company has to pay a few people and they have to collect 71 lakhs. Within 30 days, if they file the balance sheet, company is restored. Amazing judgment, huh? This is Subbalakshmi, whatever, I'll send the case. So company came to life. What is the connect with CLC? Now what CLC says is, if the promoter wants the company to be back with them within 3 years, then a simple application to RD is good enough, regional director. If the application has to be made after 3 years, but within 20 years, then you have to go to NCLT. That is the connection which I try to draw between this case and the CLC order. Clear? So this is what is coming up in the pipeline. Okay, next. Mitigation. Yeah, that is what I said. Pay the fees. I mean, for any penalty, these are all simple things. Pay the fees, pay the additional fees. Then there is something called compounding. There is something called condoning. There is something called adjudication. Pay the penalty. Please stay away from fine. Fine is what becomes dangerous. Till penalty stage, I think we are good to go. Clear? So best solution is compounding. I mean, whatever is your problem, please go and get it compounded at the earliest. Yeah. So this is what I've just said. What is the difference between penalty and fine? Yeah. So fine is additional, where imprisonment also comes into play. Penalty is not. So one good thing which happened recently is decriminalizing the company law things. Most of the sections are now falling under penalty related provisions. Yeah. Next is, okay, adjudicating officer, I don't want to. Condone is saying sorry and then maybe going and making an application. This is most popular in charges. When you delay filing charges, there's something called condone, where you make an application and then ask them to. So it's called condoning the delay. Yeah, so I've just listed out all the penalties which are there. Of course, that is already circulated. Yeah. Then yeah. So default of filing the balance sheet and annual return is what I just touched upon. Board's report is another one, which is a very critical one, where the word imprisonment is used. I mean, from a corporate point of view, that's applicable for a CFO, not for somebody else. Yeah. So this is what it is. So any questions? Yeah, I always tell chartered accountants, refrain from lending your office address to clients. These are all some golden things which rules that I have seen. Any notice will land into your office, and that's going to be a piddly sum that they are going to pay you. I mean, whichever client I'm just telling, it's not worth it. Next is refrain from lending your name as subscribers. Not worth it. It's not allowed. You cannot do it. Director, again, going by that Saha case and all that, good to stay away. But if at all there is a issue on lending, please ensure that you don't make money out of that particular company. Please do not certify any form without proper evidence. I have given you so many cases. Please don't do it. And do not forget this case Nagappan Swarnalata, because it's one of the landmark judgments for every professional. I'm not only talking about you. I'm talking about a company secretary, a cost accountant, whoever, even a lawyer for that matter. So anybody who is going to go and help in assist in incorporation, we need to be careful. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Don't worry. Simple, simple. 149 subsection 12. That is the section that everybody should know. Basics on company law. The word used is knowledge through a board process. So understand, as a chartered accountant, you are walking into a building, in the lift you hear some gossip. That's not evidence. For you, for me, for anybody, the evidence lies inside the books, which is called minutes. Clear? I'm connecting you from there to there. Knowledge through a board process, that board process is coming only from the minutes. As a chartered accountant, if you can go through each and every line item in the minutes, and if there is no mention of a related party transaction, nobody can haul you up. Point number one. Point number two, there is a register of contracts. It is the duty of the company to put all the contracts in that register. So second thing that you need to be aware of is the register of contracts. Now, these are the only two private documents which are available for a chartered accountant to verify. After verifying that, if you have done a good job, just sleep in peace. Nobody can touch you. Clear? So that's what it is. So whatever reporting you do, you please check the records and take a copy. I think as a CA, you are eligible to take a copy of the minutes and put it in your file. Tomorrow anything goes wrong, just reproduce the minutes and say, nothing was mentioned in the minutes. How do I know? You're not God, right? Or you should be going through that session on Third Eye Awakening by Nityananda and sit and then, tack, Kundali will open and then you can see inside what's up. No, it's not, that's all not possible. So just relax. Yeah. Yeah. No. Lending means correct. So create in that person's name Gmail account, no? And give the password to him. Correct. So take their notice, tell them that the client is not traceable. I mean, if the client is not. Correct. Boss, you're a professional. I have a case where a director has done fraud and he has escaped. No, he has deleted all records. Correct. I'm just connecting that case. So your case is not as difficult as mine, right? Now our regulators are saying, go find him. Where will I find him? We did. There was one Chennai address available. We sent people to check whether that fellow is in Chennai. There was one Bangalore house. So exactly. So you are not in knowledge of that particular notice which was sent, right? So where will I qualify? Go after the director. No, I'm just saying. You can say go after the director. I have nothing to say. That will go on and on till mankind is dead. Don't worry about all that. It's the willingness to take up something which you are right. Don't bend. Give it a fight. It'll all get over. It is nothing. You are not at mistake. The director is at mistake. That's why I started my session saying first the company, then the directors, then the shareholders, then comes an auditor. It's not your company, it's somebody else's company that you are rendering service. So don't own up. Own up your work, not the company. Yeah. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. Anything on the chat box or, question? Yeah. Sure. So friends, actually we are going through very interesting times. I mean, to be very honest, it's not very easy. But at the same time, yeah, there are challenges. But for those challenges, I think there is a lot of upgrade required. And I think we are also doing that on the upgrade front, whether it is technology, whatever, But only one takeaway is, see, don't expose too much of your personal data for the sake of client. Like, for example, what you said, even the DSC, don't give it to them. You can always dunzo it. Today, it's all very convenient, right? Dunzo it. Do it. I mean, as much as possible, I'm saying. I'm not saying do it 100% whatever, but these are all some of the mitigation things for a liability. Stay a little further away, because giving your mail ID, no, I mean, in the sense, say, for example, Sundharesan at jsundaresan.com. If I give it to a director, then it's a gross misstatement or whatever, and I'm misleading actually. No. Instead, I'm just giving you a small solution. And another thing I'll tell you, a lot of these documents on the cloud, share it. See, today there is so much of facilities which are available, no? So share it. Let there be a common platform where you download the documents that you require. That's all. Use technology to the maximum where it is going to benefit you, and at the same time, it will protect your interest. Yeah. Pramod, anything? No. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I'll just check if I've left anything. Just give me 1 minute, okay? Because it's, no, actually the credit should go to Companies Act 2013, actually, not me. Because with 147, 447, 448, I mean, even a board position is looking like that, right? Today, tell me how many independent directors are willing to perform their role as independent directors. So, according to me, the role of independent director and statutory auditor are appointments coming from shareholders. So, the whole thing is their responsibilities are towards the shareholders. But in between, you have a management, you have a board, you have so many other issues actually. So that's why I said it's challenging times ahead, but we need to be in the business of business and we need to be performing. So that is what it is. So learning is very simple. Evidence, evidence, evidence for a chartered accountant. That's all. Number two, ensure that you have backup for things that you do in print, not in your computer, in print. If you find there is something doubtful that you have done, just take that letter, representation letter or whatever, take the print and keep it in the file. Open a separate file and keep it ready in case of exigencies. That's all. I mean, some of the mitigation plans are this, and as I said, refrain from giving up your personal joy and freedom for the sake of a company. Money is there, but money is not everything. I mean, you should know to balance this liability versus. So today, before I close, I'll tell you, data is not gold. Data is not oil. Data is the biggest liability in times to come. It's the biggest liability, I'll tell you, whether it is for us or for companies. Yeah. So thank you all for a very patient listening and hope to see you soon with a new topic and new issue. Thank you.
We had an enlightening session with various stories and case laws. On behalf of the Bangalore branch of SARC of ICA, I thank you, sir. I request Pramod, Secretary of the branch, to present a memento to Speaker. Hand over to Pramod for vote of thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We have come to an end of all the technical sessions. And I thank each one of you who made it very convenient and participated in this 2 days conference. And also, I would like to thank the Corporate Law Committee, Corporate Law and Governance Committee, who gave us this opportunity to host this event as well. So with this, I consider it, a great privilege to see you all. And we had a wonderful, excellent session on behalf of Bangalore branch of ICI. I would like to thank everyone who made it convenient and also the dignitaries on the dais who were there for last 2 days. Thank you, everyone. Signing off. Good night. Good evening.